It's your boy, Calcast Boxing here. Hit that sub button for nightly boxing videos. Wanted to do something different tonight. Got a comment in the comment section yesterday from Sports Genius who said, yo, Calcast, been watching you for years. Some advice. Try to interact more with your subscribers. Answer some of our questions or comments in the comment section. I'm going to do you one better tonight, Sports Genius. I'm going to try to do this every other night. I'm going to answer your questions and comments right here on air. Here you go. Admittedly, this is something I've been bad at over the years. Got to be honest. Haven't been consistent with the video output. Trying to get better at that, but also haven't been consistent in answering comments and getting back to people and doing what I came here to do when I first got on YouTube, and that's interact with other boxing fans, because I just consider myself a boxing fan. I'm no boxing genius, but just a boxing fan. So it's something I got to get better at. And here we go. Let's do it. And also what I wanted to do tonight was I was watching, not watching, but listening to in the car on the ride home for about 16 of the 24 minutes, a 24-minute video from Maxwell Baer on his channel. And by the way, I don't understand why some guys on here have thousands of subscribers and they're not very talented, and then other guys only have a couple hundred and they're very talented. Maxwell Baer fits that description where he has a couple hundred. He has like 300 something subscribers, should have a ton more, because I just discovered his channel last week and he puts out some really good content. Another channel I'm back on with is sports with Beeb, or boxing with Beeb. I don't boxing odds with Beeb, something like that. But me and Beeb used to co-host Robo-Dope Radio every week. So I'm been watching his stuff, and they have a podcast every Sunday night at 7 that goes live. So that's very high quality as well. So make sure to check out those two channels. But I wanted to elaborate on that video. The video is called The Tacit Admissions of the Golovkin Detractors, and very good video. And I wanted to elaborate on it a little bit more, and I'll do that after I get to the comments and whatnot later on in this video. But the first comment I wanted to touch on was on the Cowherd video I did last night about Colin Cowherd saying boxing is dead and whatnot. Didn't really address that, but VVSL Lou Stones left a comment saying, what's your evaluation of Spence? Also, what's your view on fighters fighting at weight classes below their amateur weight class? For instance, Porter fought at 160 in the amateurs, but fights at 147 as a pro. First, let's touch on Errol Spence. Errol Spence, I'm very high on Errol Spence, extremely high on Errol Spence. I think he's a guy who could fill that vacuum that Mayweather and Pacquiao are going to leave. Eventually, you're going to have other guys. They always do, man. You always have other guys who come up, fill that void, and they'll be the future stars of boxing, and they'll grow and become those superstars. Errol Spence is one of those guys who has that talent. Will he reach that potential? We'll see. We'll see when he faces a guy who, you know, right now, Errol Spence, when you hear him talk, he's like, I want to take over the world. I want to fight this guy. I want to fight that guy. We'll see how he feels when he gets in the ring with a guy who makes him rethink that. Will he go into fifth gear when that happens, or will he want to quit? We'll see. But we got to see what the attitude is with Errol Spence when he gets into deep water. But right now, I'm very high on him. The talent looks like it's there. And it looks like the work ethic is there to match it. I just hope they step him up. He's only not even 4 years into his career, and they stepped him up in the past 2 fights. Although Bundu, I was hoping that fight wouldn't happen and they would go straight to Kell Brook, but the IBF ordered him to fight Bundu, and now Kell Brook steps up. And I don't think that fight's going to happen. I just, despite what Kell Brook says, I don't see him dropping back down to 147. We'll see once again, but otherwise, I'd like to see him in there with the Thurman or Garcia, or, I mean, just anybody in the top 10. But he's a guy who can fill that void. I'm very high on him, and I think the technique is there. I think everything is there for him to potentially be good. And, by the way, he can get exciting in there as well. It doesn't look like he's content on going 12 rounds with a guy, and he has killer instinct to get a guy out of there instead of playing it safe. So it seems so far. So hopefully he keeps that attitude, because activity and knockouts is going to do it now. That's what's going to do it. I think the days of these things go through cycles, I suppose, but those days of guys doing big pay-per-view numbers and going 12 rounds with guys that they should get out of there, I don't think that's gonna go anymore. I think they're looking for guys like Golovkin and just guys who are going in there for knockouts, much like what you saw with Mike Tyson in the early 90s. People want knockouts and activities. People have short attention spans these days. So I think to put up consistent numbers, you got to give guys activity outputs. It's much like what Abel Sanchez said in his interview with Radio Raheem yesterday. He said, I don't feel good as a trainer if my guy's not in there 3 times a year fighting in the ring. So I think that's what you're going to have to see with guys and stay in front of people. Also, addressing the weight thing. Guys fight at lower weights in the pros because they have more time in between fights to lose that water weight, cut that water weight, and then they won't have a fight the day after. How it is with amateurs, you might fight on Friday night. If you fight in a PAL tournament, you fight in Golden Gloves, you're going to fight on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to fight multiple days in a row, so you can't drop all that water weight and keep that water weight down for 3 days without completely passing out and ending up in the hospital. So you have to fight closer to your natural weight. You can't rehydrate because obviously you're going to be overweight for your next fight the next day. And you might fight Saturday night, and then the next Saturday night you're fighting in another fight in the amateurs. So you're going to be fighting naturally closer to your natural weight. And with the pros, you can fight. He threw out the Sean Porter example. Sean Porter fighting at 160 in the amateurs and 147 as a pro. Sean Porter has an 8-week training camp to where he can get down to 147, cut like 10 pounds of water weight in the last day or two, and then rehydrate to 165 or something on fight night. And then he won't have another fight for a couple months. He won't have to do that for another couple months. He might fight twice, maybe 3 times a year if we're lucky. So he only has to cut weight a couple times a year. So he can fight further away from his natural weight. So I think that's why, that's pretty much why you see that. Also in that video, Claudio Monreal, having trouble reading my own handwriting, wrote that most UFC fights are on pay-per-view, and that is not good. Basically speaking on UFC and its sustainability as compared to boxing, because Colin Cowherd, if you missed the video, said that boxing is dead and UFC is thriving. As far as that goes, UFC, what they do good is, yes, they put on 12 pay-per-views per year, which is high, but they're consistently doing it. The mark of a good product is consistency. So if you have a pay-per-view every month, people are expecting a pay-per-view every month, and they might dish out that money, especially if the best guys within that product are fighting each other. So I think that's what UFC does good. So I don't really see that going away anytime soon, even though the pay-per-view market might be close to nil in boxing. It's still doing well in the UFC because they've over the past 10 years they've put it in their fan base's brain that we're doing a pay-per-view every single month. And by the way, we're going to put on good fights on network TV in between that. So we're going to put on fights every weekend that you can access. I don't want to say for free, but it's on network TV that you can access, and you can go on Fox and you can go on Spike or wherever it is and watch these fights every weekend in between these pay-per-views. So they have consistency going. The product is very good. We'll see if the new owners keep that up, but I don't see that pay-per-view model going away for them anytime soon. I think so far it's been sustainable for them. Scorpio 11477 in the same video said that he goes with Larry Merchant's belief that nothing can save boxing, but nothing can kill boxing either. I agree with that. The only thing that can hurt boxing is boxing itself. UFC, as I pointed out in the video, is not killing boxing. It's not hurting boxing. Boxing is hurting boxing. Yes, access to, in the growth of other sports, has hurt boxing over the decades. The NFL, you didn't have back in the 50s and the 60s when boxing was thriving, and earlier than that, you didn't have the competition with the NFL, and the NBA weren't as big as they were, and you didn't have UFC around. So, yeah, I mean, that takes away a little bit of it, but overall, boxing is hurting boxing. All right, putting on poor fights and promoters not working with each other, and managers having great talent like Al Heyman has in his stable and not putting them in the ring against each other is hurting boxing. That's ultimately what's hurting boxing. And it's not, boxing's not going to die. It's an art form. It's always going to be around. But it is a niche sport, and I think it will be a niche sport forever. But it's not going to die. All right. And like he says, nothing's going to save boxing, but nothing's going to kill it either. In the Margarito video, I don't know who, I didn't even put down who wrote this. My apologies on this, but I wouldn't mind Alfredo Angulo versus Margarito. That would be a war. My apologies for not putting down who wrote that comment, but I like that comment a lot because it's a fight that makes sense if Margarito is going to continue fighting. I'm pretty libertarian on telling guys when they should end their careers and when they shouldn't. Obviously, as a fan of Roy Jones, I would like to have seen him stop fighting after he won the heavyweight title, but he continued to fight for another 15 years. That's on him, and so be it. But the same thing with Margarito. If he wants to lose his other eye and keep fighting, and they sanction him in Mexico to fight, so be it. A fight that would make sense is a guy who is equally washed up, Alfredo Angulo, who also fights this weekend. So if Alfredo Angulo wants to fight Antonio Margarito, the styles make sense. They're pretty much around the same weight. I think I saw something today where Margarito doesn't want to fight at 154 anymore since Canelo basically told him to take a hike. He called out Canelo. Canelo told him today, I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight Margarito. I have nothing to win in that fight. The guy's completely washed up. So basically what he said, I'm paraphrasing, but it's basically what he said. So Margarito versus Angulo is a fight that would make sense. It's two guys with a name that boxing fans want. It would be a war. And it's two guys who don't have good reflexes, are washed up. And it would be fun. It'd be fun to watch. So I wouldn't mind. That's a good idea. I wouldn't mind seeing that. And the Ward versus Brand was a travesty video I put out. KLT put that I'm the white devil. I just brought that up because I thought it was funny. I'm only partially white, so you're only partially right with this comment. I just thought it was funny. Anytime you, it never fails. Anytime that you drop a video, any just criticizing Andre Ward any little bit, you're gonna have some racial backlash of you being racist or whatnot. I don't know, dude. I hate to break it to him, but I was once a big Andre Ward fan. But when he went on that 3 or 4 year hiatus, basically, he lost that with me. But in that same video, Michael Stock put the problem with Ward is he doesn't throw combos. He lands one big shot and then admires it. That's that is a brilliant comment because that's basically why I'm picking Kovalev to beat Ward. One of the reasons anyway. And the other reason was why I dropped the video 2 weeks ago about Ward not having power and Kovalev knowing it. Ward's KO percentage of 50%. He just doesn't, in my opinion, have the power to keep Kovalev honest for 12 rounds and keep him off of him for 12 rounds. It's just tough for me to envision him keeping Kovalev off of him with the stink it up type style that he has, much like you saw with the Bika fight. In other fights he's been in, where he just basically, when he has a guy in front of him who can hurt him, he just tries to stink the fight up. I think he's going to have problems doing that with Kovalev and just stinking up the fight, much like the problems that Hopkins had when he fought Calzaghe, where stinking it up just wasn't enough. You got to do something else. And we saw with the Pascal fight, although Ward and Pascal, two different styles because Ward is more consistent. Although they may throw about the same amount of punches per fight, Ward is more consistent with his output. He may throw 20 punches per round, but he's going to throw 20 punches per round every single round, whereas Pascal might throw 40 punches around in this round, but 10 punches around, 10 punches in the next round. Pascal goes in lulls. And although Kovalev looked very vulnerable in the first Pascal fight, got caught a lot with a lot of shots, and Pascal fought very well in that first fight. Kovalev still walked through those punches, and Ward just, like he said, I don't know if he has trouble, but he doesn't seem to be willing to throw consistent combinations throughout the fight. And it's going to be tough to pot shot Kovalev to death and win a fight, in my opinion. So I thought that was a brilliant comment as well. In the Canelo video, basically where Golovkin's trainer said that Canelo's not Mexican. Once again, I didn't put who wrote this, but I don't understand Mexican style. Every pro boxer fights differently. Canelo Alvarez does not fight like Antonio Margarito is just one example. And like I said, man, people are complex. Every individual is different. So to say that this is a Mexican style or this is a Black American style is being a little, it's overgeneralizing, basically. And I just don't like what Abel Sanchez said here about Canelo not being Mexican just because he ducks a fight with a certain fighter. And it's just not right. It's just an ignorant thing to say. And basically what this guy is saying here that I agree with is Floyd Mayweather and Lamont Peterson do not fight the same. Lamont Peterson's a blue collar type fighter. He gets in there, he gets dirty, whereas Floyd Mayweather is more slick. Both Black American fighters. So to say that this is a Black American style is once again overgeneralizing. Andre Berto, Adrian Broner, they don't have that slick style. They get in there and they get hit a lot and they mix it up. So just overgeneralizing. Now getting to the Maxwell Baer video response. I thought this was a brilliant video because I dropped a video similar to this about 2 years ago addressing Floyd Mayweather fans. I call this Flomo something or other. And basically I was pointing out that I, as a Mayweather detractor, I, as a guy who calls out Mayweather for not fighting the best competition at the right time, am actually higher on Mayweather than the Flomos are. You see the Flomos all the time when Floyd was active, making excuses for Floyd not fighting fighter A, Floyd not fighting fighter B, Floyd not fighting fighter C, and then going all the way down the line to where he's fighting fighter E, and then making excuses for why he didn't fight A through D, and he wound up on E. Whereas I'm saying, why isn't he fighting fighter A? I've said it for a while. When I was calling for Floyd to fight Sergio Martinez years ago, when Sergio Martinez was the middleweight champion, the Flomos were saying, oh, he's too big. You just want Floyd to lose. You just want, and I actually favored Floyd to win the fight. So I was actually higher on Floyd than they were, and they didn't even know it. Like he pointed out, Maxwell pointed this out as far as the GGG detractors in the video. I'm actually higher on Triple G, or they're actually higher on Triple G than I am, is what he said. Basically because they're pointing out why doesn't, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'll just throw something out. They say, why doesn't he go up to fight Andre Ward at 168? And they want him to move up the weight class and fight Andre Ward in the first fight, whereas Andre Ward moves up from 168 to 175, and he needs two tune-ups to get in the ring with the best fighter at 175. And they're okay with that. So you see a lot of that with the GGG detractors. Now, where I question this, though, is I hate to be lumped in with these people for calling out Triple G for fighting Kell Brook, because I don't like the fight. I don't like Golovkin fighting Kell Brook. I don't think it's a good fight. Obviously, I'm in the minority there because this fight sold out within 15 minutes of the tickets going on sale. There seem to be a good bit of people on the YTBC who like the fight. I don't know what the numbers are, the exact percentage, but there seems to be a good bit of people out there who like the fight. I don't like the fight, but I don't like being lumped in with the Triple G detractors because I don't like Triple G versus Kell Brook. I'm just giving an unbiased opinion on it. I don't like the fight. I think Triple G is better than this. However, I think this is more of an indictment on this Triple G versus Kell Brook fight is more of an indictment on boxing than it is on Triple G. I think it's an outlier as far as Triple G's career. Triple G's career, from what I've seen, is him wanting to fight the best and not being able to get in there with the best because Canelo doesn't want to fight him. Cotto doesn't want to fight him. Danny Jacobs doesn't want to fight him. Sergio Martinez didn't want to fight him. Peter Quillen didn't want to fight him. And Andre Ward needed tune-ups or whatever to fight him. So he's having trouble getting in there with guys, getting fights with guys. So obviously, you give him a little bit of a pass for taking a low-risk, high-reward fight. However, I just expect more of Triple G than this. I wanted to see him possibly go up to 168 and fight somebody or fighting somebody at 168 at a catch weight. I totally understand this as a business decision, but I just don't like the fight for many reasons. I don't think you should be in there with a 147-pounder, especially a 147-pounder who is yet to be proven at 147 pounds because his biggest win and his only big win at 147 is Sean Porter. That's just my view on it. So I don't want to be lumped in for being a detractor of this. I'm a detractor of the fight. I'm not a detractor of Triple G. So I've had people direct this towards me for being a detractor of the fight, that I'm a Triple G detractor all of a sudden. I'm not. I've been a proponent of Triple G, and I continue to be. I just don't like this fight. But here's what the Triple G detractors need to understand. And look me in my eyes when I say this. And I'm going to look directly into the camera. You are not going to talk Triple G fans out of being Triple G fans. You're just not. You're pissing in the wind. It's not going to happen. There are more efficient ways of going about this than trying to do that and trying to drop videos calling people racist for liking Triple G and all this other stuff, all this other nonsense, and being a little hypocritical on being against Triple G for doing this when you're giving this fighter a pass for doing this. Look, Triple G has created a bond with his fan base that only Triple G can break. You need to understand that. When you have a guy from Kazakhstan who comes here, fights 3-4 times a year, when he first started here, was fighting 4 times a year, activity and knockouts, was just lining him up, knocking him out. Sold out on the East Coast at Madison Square Garden, sold out on the West Coast. And what was that? I forget the name of the arena. He sold out in the LA area. And now he's selling out in the UK. When he fought in Madison Square Garden, not only did he sell out, but he broke the merchandise record that night for most merchandise sold at a sporting event at Madison Square Garden, which is an unbelievable thing to do. This guy has built something organic from the ground up, him and his team. They've done a brilliant job of building Triple G up. There is no denying that. There's no denying that. So when you have people, this is different than people sitting on the couch and watching a fight. When you have people from different nationalities, different parts of the world coming out to watch a guy slaughter a sheep, basically, because that's what he's going to do to Kell Brook here. It sold out in 15 minutes. This isn't even going to be a competitive fight. When you have this going on, this is something organic. And when people are doing that and going out of their way to watch this guy fight, you're not going to destroy that bond by getting on here in front of a camera and bashing the people who are going out to watch him fight or bashing the fighter. That's something that Triple G, and I said it about Andre Ward, man. Andre Ward had a lot of momentum going in 2012, 2013. I was completely on the bandwagon. But between 2013, 2016, this guy completely derailed his career. He ruined the momentum that he had going, and he ruined his relationship with his fan base. He did it. It wasn't the media that he's trying to blame. And you can see it how defensive he is when he does interviews. and how defensive his fan base is when they defend him. He blames the media. He blames his promoter, his dead promoter. He blames his manager. He blames all these people except Andre Ward. And there comes a point in time when you have to look in the mirror and say, look, I did this to myself. Only I could have derailed this. Only I could have messed up this relationship that I had with my fan base. And he had a good relationship going with American fan base that he ruined. It just is what it is. And Triple G is the only one who can do that to himself. It's not going to be guys on here. It's not going to be the media. You can try, but it's not going to happen. Only Golovkin can derail that. Only Golovkin can mess up what he's got going with his fan base, that relationship. So that's something that you guys need to realize, all right? There are other battles to fight out there. This isn't it. You're not going to win this one. So because Golovkin's going to, I'm telling you, he's going to keep advancing. He's going to keep growing. And the pay-per-view numbers are going to catch up with the numbers that he's doing at these arenas. And you're just fighting a losing battle. I'm just trying to help. So, but as far as the Maxwell Baer video, I felt he was completely on point. The detractors are actually higher on Triple G than maybe his fans. I don't know if you can say that of all his fans, but they're pretty high on him. They're pretty high on him if they want him to do all of this stuff. And I don't know. And I made a similar video, like I said, as far as Floyd and the Flomos a couple of years ago. So I just thought it was a good video, and make sure to go and check out his channel. I'm going to link his channel below. I copied it, so I'll make sure to paste that in the info box below. So make sure to go check out his channel and Beeb's channel as well. And I'll throw out more channels as I do more of these videos. So that's going to end this thing, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this, and I'll try to do this every other night and interact with people more, because that's what I enjoy doing on here. So need to do more of this. So y'all hit me up with y'all's comments. And I wish I could get this damn chat working, man, so I could see comments, because I see I got a lot of viewers. If I can get the comments working in the chat to where I can answer them as this is going live, that would be incredible. That would be even better. But I don't know. I'm not tech savvy, so I have no idea how to work this. So y'all hit me up. Let me know what y'all think about this. Peace. God bless.